Welcome to the Army Football Podcast. I'm Sal Interdonato with my co-host Steven Anderson. This is the bowl edition of the podcast. Army preparing to play North Texas on December 27th. That's the Tuesday after Christmas. Cotton Bowl Stadium, Dallas. Steve, over 90,000 capacity.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to fill that town, but as you know, Army travels very well. No matter where you go in this country and play a game, there's a post somewhere with a bunch of Army fans, and there's old grads everywhere doing great things. So, plus, as we know already, it's the year of the ring, so nothing is out of possibility.
That's true. Hey, I remember. I'm trying to remember back in 2010 when you played in the Armed Forces Bowl right there in Dallas at Gerald Ford Stadium. Ronnie Makeda was present, wasn't he?
Yeah, I actually met Ronnie Makeda that year for the first time. Was my senior year, and yeah, I believe he was at that game. I'm not 100% sure if I met him during that bowl week or shortly after the game. I know I met him for the first time inside of the weight room, but yeah, he's one of the guys that did one of the things that we all wish we could have done while we were there. So
yeah, he's the for Army fans, he's the quarterback of the 1996 team. Are you still? Have you come down from the emotional high of Army beating Navy on December 10th, Steve?
Yeah, it was a good few days. I know. I had about 6 or 7 of my lieutenants go to the game, and I was fortunate enough for them. They read my mind. They brought me back grass from Raven Stadium from the 50-yard line and from the end zone that we scored the touchdown in. So they know me all too well in the 15 weeks I've known them. So I've got it actually hanging on my fridge in 2 plastic bags. I got to figure out how to reproduce it or something. They got to get a hydroponic, something to get it going. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm working in the press box out of M&T Bank Stadium, and who calls me up? None other than Steve Anderson, wanting to talk about the win around 8:30 that night. It was great. That was, what, it got my writing juices going, so to speak, and just an amazing. Steve, I thought probably my best feeling as a beat writer, or best experience, I should say, was when you guys won the bowl game, because it just hadn't happened in so long at Army. And I think, with all due respect, I think the 2016 Army Navy game with Army winning tops that a little bit, just because of the streak and everything. There was just so much, and like you said, I bet you your buddies were probably one of the guys who rushed the field too. So it was just a euphoric scene there. I gotta tell you there. I don't know what it looked like on TV.
I think the biggest thing is I saw it all over Facebook was, nobody on Facebook has ever written Army beats Navy, because it hasn't happened since Facebook was invented. So that was awesome writing that on Facebook, obviously, for the first time and getting that checked off the list. But yeah, anytime you have a rival that you haven't beaten in, 15 years, 14 years, or, since 2001, and it's considered a rivalry. And even after all those losses, Navy only holds the advantage by 4 games. It kind of just shows you how much, how many games and what goes into that tradition. And it's just, you got the monkey off your back, and you're back in the game now. And I think it kind of takes off all the pressures. And, the biggest thing of that game was there was no, here we go again feeling from the team, and we got up quickly. We were still, turnover friendly, unfortunately, but we overcame. And even when Navy took the 17-14 lead, there was none of this panic or none of this like, oh God, here we go again, we lost it, or quarterback Ahmad Bradshaw just kept at it, and his just tenacity at the quarterback position and continuing to execute that offense is just, it was awesome to watch, man. Of course, I saw the incredible, it being 2nd and 8 when we scored, and then of course Brandon Jackson's number was 28. Just made you think of the higher power, leading us to the victory and everything this team has overcome and everything that they had gone through this year. Just kind of brought it full circle for me, realizing that, seeing that as something that, Army fans picked up on, and it was just, I don't think, I can't remember, but I don't think I cried, but I'm pretty sure my eyes were watering, and, I gave my wife a big hug. My buddies that were here, gave them big hugs, and was just kind of like relieved that now we can finally stop talking about this streak and finally get back to talking about this rivalry, which it's always been a good rivalry.
Yeah, and you just talking about that drive, and we had a cover on a couple days after the game with 80 yards to glory, and wow, it was definitely a coming of age, or coming of for the leadership of Ahmad Bradshaw. Like we said, like we talked about, we've been talking about him during the season, and no doubt, I mean, it was his team, and the defense was pretty impressive in that game too, Steve. I mean, the first half, maybe had one first down.
No, it's been a saying, it's been a cliche for years, but defense wins championships, and yeah, maybe that wasn't a championship, but it was a game, that's played as any good playoff game or anything like that, and we knew they had to show up. It got me. Going into the game, I didn't like how we showed up against Air Force and how Air Force was able to kind of move the ball at will on us, and that was a little nerve wracking for the game. But you know me well enough, Sal. I truly believe Army can win every single game they step on the field, just by my being there and knowing those type of players that play for them, and just the mentality we have as the unique individuals that go to a military academy. Just absolutely coming of age of Ahmad Bradshaw, just truly epitomizing what Army needed from their quarterback in that time. Stress, time running down, all those kind of things, but just that poised, calm leader that, his soldiers will see in him when he eventually leads them in the near future.
Yeah, you know what? I remember one Army coach tell me, we don't need any out-of-body experiences. Just do your job, and he just ran the option perfectly. He didn't try to do too much. He spread the ball out, and that first pass to Edgar Poe to start that drive, what a confidence booster to the team when you get a play like that. You move the ball almost 30 yards to midfield on one play, and I mean, they just.
And we talked about it, Sal. We talked about how those plays are ultimately the ones that you look back on and say, man, either we really needed it at the time, or man, that really hurt us because it's exactly what you said. You got to just run the offense. Don't try to do anything that you haven't practiced, you haven't been coached. Just read your keys, do the proper footwork, and everything will work out when you're running the triple option. So that was just awesome to watch the entire drive unfold here at my house. Was just it's going to be a memory I always remember, and something that I hope the future teams continue to build off of. And you know what, maybe it's our time to win 14, 15 in a row. You know what I'm saying, Sal?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Edgar Poe said after the press conference. Now we start our streak, and just how young this team is. I mean, you got a handful of seniors who started on this team. It's really a sophomore-centered class. So, you're looking at the next couple of years being, you hope to be better than even this year. And, in our conversation that we had, in the press box when you called, we mentioned that, there hasn't been an Army team to beat Navy and win a bowl game in the same season since 1984. Well, this is, here's this team's opportunity in a few days. And, talk about, like, your experiences down there, because they're playing in the Dallas area again, Army. What was it like before the game? And, to play in a bowl down in the Dallas area?
I mean, not going to find better places that are Army-friendly towns than in the state of Texas. So you definitely have a lot of, you can get distracted. Absolutely. I know we try to mitigate as much as possible. We kind of let ourselves go out and experience the town. You know, we're all adults here. We got to act as adults. You know, everybody understood that the game was the biggest priority and that this was a business trip above all else. But you have to let these guys experience that kind of thing and feel like they deserve to go out there and do great things. And then, you know, as it got closer to game time, we you know, implemented a curfew, made sure guys were, you know, in their bed, you know, thinking about the right things. And, you know, we had walkthroughs, we had practices. So, absolutely there can be distractions. But I think, you know, what you find, you know, especially at a military academy, is that the discipline there, you know, for off the field shenanigans, as I'll say, will be minimum. And, you know, leading up to the game, just getting that experience of going into the stadium and feeling what it was going to be like and understand the turf and what kind of atmosphere to expect will be, you know, crucial to the guys understanding that, you know, this is the real deal. This is the big stage. This is a bowl game. All right. You know, not every team goes to a bowl game. We've certainly earned the right to be in a bowl game. And so has the team we played. You know, talking about North Texas, I mean, yeah, we've got the better record, but they've got the 1-0, 1-0 lead on us in the series this year. So, you know, I think, you know, going into this game, they need to go over the things that hurt them. You know, obviously the turnovers, you know, having 7 turnovers against any team is going to be hard to beat. I don't know the stat on that, but the last college football team that has 7 turnovers and win the game is probably, you know, very far and few between. And, you know, having, you know, 90 yards of penalty yards, you know, doesn't help either. So,
yeah,
you got to be, we got to stay disciplined. One thing, you know, that Navy was, you know, something that Navy is always good at is they're always the top, you know, 1, 2, 3 team in turnover ratio and penalty yards. And I think, you know, we minimize, you know, turnovers and don't hurt ourselves on the big plays. We're going to be just fine against the team. And, you know, going into this, we know that won't hurt us. So we can avoid that going into it. And North Texas might come in a little overconfident about, oh, we know we can strip these guys. Oh, we know these guys are going to throw the ball up. Oh, we know these guys aren't disciplined. And, you know, we can use that to our advantage with a little chip on our shoulder to say we know we're the better team and we just let this team get the best of us on a Saturday.
Yeah, what we didn't mention in the Navy game is Army didn't have a penalty at all in that game. So
yeah, I mean that's an incredible stat for any team at any level to not have a penalty. I mean it's, you know, it's a true testament of this team's, you know, dedication and desire to win. Is, you know, we cannot commit stupid penalties. And I mean, it paid off. So
yeah,
no problems there.
Hey, going back to that 2010 Armed Forces game real quick, you know, one of my lasting memories of that game is, of course, Josh McNary's fumble return for a touchdown early. But, Steve, it was you getting downfield and throwing some blocks to aid Josh into the end zone.
Yeah, me and Josh have an inside joke with that. You know, obviously he's in the pros now doing great things on the Colts. That might have been one of the few times in my career where I looked faster than Josh McNary. And I caught him from about 10 yards behind, and I pointed out the tailback, who thought that he was going to try to make a play, and I just laid his butt out on the ground, you know, making sure that Josh got untouched on the way to the end zone. And Josh always, whenever we talk about it, he's like, hey, man, you know you cost me, you know, a couple draft picks with you speeding up on me like that. I was just fine, okay? I would have handled it myself. And you know, obviously, you know, inside inside joke. Josh is one of the best players to ever play Army football, and one of the best football players I've ever had the privilege to play with. So, good inside joke. You know, I've always got that. You know, the film doesn't lie when I talk to Josh. So, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. Definitely just a great memory of us, you know, doing great. You know, Zach Watts stripping the ball, Josh scooping and scoring, and me leading him into the end zone. Just great play. You know, one of my memories of that game, me and Josh Jackson talk about it almost every time. Almost every time we see each other or talk to each other, or anytime the bowl game, you know, one of the replays from the bowl game or replays from the season is when I had my pick in the game in the red zone, when SMU was coming into our territory. I had a pick, and it was a double slant to the field side, and I ran pretty much directly at the inside receiver, you know, so if he threw it, I was going to make a collision and separate the man from the ball. And if he didn't throw it, I would continue to the far slant. Well, I continued to the far slant. Josh was guarding him man-to-man, and I picked it. And as he was trying to tackle me, I was trying to get the ball out to pitch it back to Josh so we could get some extra yards, you know?
Yeah.
And I can still to this day, Sal, see Josh's eyes lit up as big as that helmet inside of his face mask, like trying to get me to give him the ball because, you know, Josh Jackson, he was going to take it to the house. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys on the field. But I just couldn't get it out. The guy had his arm wrapped around. I didn't want to fumble, so I just went down with it. But it's one of the funniest things thinking about Jackson's his eyes when I'm trying to pitch him the ball, and he knew it too. Because you know that's the thing you talk about. Hey man, if we get in a situation and I feel comfortable, I'm going to pitch back. Be ready for it. You know, just like earlier in the year where Travis passed it back to Jordan Trimble to take it 80 yards to the house against BMI, I believe. So.
Yeah.
All things you talk about, all things you know, you don't really practice. You know, some of us we did practice it a few times. You know, of course, the coaches tell us just get to the near sideline, but you know, you got to have some fun. But yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, after living my glory days here, let's get back to the topic on hand.
Well, actually, I just wanted to ask you one more question. What was it like at the end of that game when you won to, you know, hold the Armed Forces trophy up? And I know you were the most outstanding player of the game too. What was that like to have that the ceremony and stuff with all the teammates around and everybody wanted a piece of that trophy to hold it up and you know, show that you guys had done something that hadn't been done in a while?
I think one of the best feelings I had was when Coach Ellison came up to me. You know, they grabbed me immediately when I went to go celebrate with my team and told me I made the most outstanding defensive player of the game and, you know, trying to get information or whatever. And he came up to me and he was like, you validated our cause. And he was like, you brought it back. Because our saying that entire year was bring winning football back. Bring it back. Bring it back was on all of our shirts. It was on our workout shirts in the off season. It was on everything. And he was like, you brought it back. You validated everything we're trying to do. And it kind of hit me, you know, in all that emotion and all that celebration and all that fun, it kind of hit me and was like, man, this kind of took me a step back and was like, man, we actually did, you know, we had a winning season, first winning season since, I think, 1996 when they won the CSC. And, you know, first bowl win since 1984, 1985 season. And it was like all those things hit me. You know, and I got to end my career on a win where, you know, when all the teams in the past, Navy was their last game, they ended on a loss. It was very salty. A lot of those guys are still frustrated that they couldn't beat Navy in their last game. What was a loss, and you know, I got to go out as a winner. You know, we had a winning season. We won the last game I ever played in college football, and you know, just him saying that and kind of, it made me really believe like what the seniors did and what the informal leaders did that year was something really special. And holding that trophy up was, you know, just seeing our fan base there. You know, Army traveled, you know, 30,000 people, or 20, 25, 26,000 people, I think, to a stadium that only held, it was at max capacity at 36,000.
Yeah.
In Dallas Fort Worth. So very similar. I think Army will turn them very well to the 2016 bowl game in Dallas, and I think it'll just be just something to really get around. I think a lot of people will show up, and I know I'll be watching it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, this is a little. I was just going to ask you this. Playing the same team twice. I don't think Army's ever played the same team twice in the season. Sometimes you play teams back to back, and you might have a setback early, and you're looking for quote revenge. The next season, but to try to get revenge in the same season, like we're talking, 2 months later. I mean, what do you think? What do you think the player's mindset will be, Steve? Because I talking to a couple guys today on the phone, and it was just like, that's the game that game in October really still really annoys them. So.
Well, I think with the way that game was played, now I think if we would have played our game and we executed, and they got our best and we got their best, and they came out on top, I think the mentality would be a bit different. But going into this game, knowing how poorly we played, obviously did not come in the right mindset. Maybe overlooked North Texas a little bit. I don't want to put words or feelings into our teams, but maybe underestimated their abilities was the root cause of, or maybe our mentality was not there. It was maybe the cause of the 7 turnovers, the 9 penalties, or the 90 yards or whatever, how many yards it was. And I think that's what's eating at them, is because they feel, I think it's safe to say that Army feels they are the better team. And I'm sure North Texas think they're the better team. But with us, we sit here at 7 turnovers, Sal. 7 turnovers. All right? I don't think a lot, the top 2 or 3 teams in the country might not have had 7 turnovers the entire year in the turnover ratio.
Yeah.
So we had that in one Saturday. So I think that aspect with the penalties and, just looking at those big stats and then kind of deducting that maybe we just didn't give them our best, eat away at guys. And now they get a chance to show them, hey, let us show you what Army football is really about. Why don't you go ahead and underestimate us? Because you underestimate us, we're going to put up 60 points on you and hold you to under 10. Yeah. All right? So please do that. You know what I mean? I think these guys are begging these guys to try to come in here and do that. I think the coaching staff in North Texas will not allow their guys to get into that trap. And, Army beats Navy as a ranked team, and they're coming off a high. They're going to be beat. North Texas is going to be fed that. Hey, they're coming off a high. They haven't beaten in so many years. They haven't been a bowl game in so many years. They're not going to come in here. They're going to be talking up their guys like, hey, this team is not ready. And that's going to give their guys confidence.
Yeah.
So I think it's every bit of importance that first drive, offensively or defensively, that we set the tone, show them that we're here to play for 60 minutes, and even more if that's what it takes. And I think North Texas will get the message early and often.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking we haven't really touched on this, and I hate to get to this toward the end of the podcast, but the whole WikiLeaks thing, Steve. It's just crazy, the whole story with the radio analyst, wanting to give away the playbook to opponents and stuff like that. I was on a radio show yesterday, and I just said, you know what? I would find it hard to believe if Army took advantage of anything like that. I just can't see it. I talked to a member of the 2014 staff who said he had no knowledge of any of the plays that Wake Forest was going to run on offense. They game plan like they did for every game. It's just a really odd situation to happen right after the great news of beating Navy, right?
Yeah, and I think personally, if I'm getting any inside information from any team, I'm skeptic as hell. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, okay, this guy's giving me this. There's probably a reason why. I trust only people within my organization. So why is this guy? Why is this guy the only guy from Wake Forest giving me information and thinking that we're going to use this to our benefit?
Yeah.
Not to mention that we are the premier leadership institution in the world, not the country, in the world. Okay, so you're going to tell us that you're going to feed us information and we're just going to take it? I just don't buy it. I just don't. I'd be too as a former player and an aspiring coach one day, maybe not at the college level, but, I want to coach football. It's part of my passion, at high school or even Little League, man, even watching my kids.
Yep.
If somebody from a different organization is going to give me plays and say, hey, here you go, here, watch this, I promise you this won't, I'm going to be skeptical. I'm going to be like, oh, yeah? Okay, buddy, well, you know what? Well, these are going to go over here, all right? And I'm not going to believe you because I think you're trying to get the win. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do is find a way to win. And that's all I'm thinking is this guy's just trying to get me to where I'm going to get in a bad defense, and they're going to come with, the old oopie-loop and go around me. So, okay, nice try, not buying it. Next question.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, there's an investigation ongoing apparently at West Point. We'll see what happens with that. But just quickly going back to the bowl game. I find it hard to believe that Army will lose to North Texas twice. All the reasons you were saying before, Steve. I think that this is at least a 2-touchdown game. And what you were saying, this could turn into a UTEP game of earlier this year where they just came out fired up on all cylinders. And the game was over. They won 66-14. This could turn into a game like that. I would think that Army's going to go off on a high note and send their seniors out with a win and have 8 wins. To be 8-5. That would be pretty impressive this season.
Absolutely, I think these guys understand the impact they'll have and the implications of an 8-5 season. I mean, talk about really turning the corner and bringing football back. 3 games over 500. Gonna help with recruiting. Gonna show that Army football is back. We have a young team. All the things you mentioned before, Sal. And then just to know that, hey, you guys remember that feeling when we beat Navy? Do you remember how good that felt? Do you remember what it was like after the game and what it felt like to prepare and do the right thing and then go out there and execute, and then the rewards we got afterwards? This is going to be just as good, just as important, and you're going to be like I said, the first team in forever to beat Navy and won a bowl game. You make your mark in history, and that's all you ever want to do is play football with your friends, go out there, play better than anybody else, and go down in the record books as one of the best teams. And this team, when they beat North Texas in a bowl game and get that bowl victory, it's going to be one of the best teams that we've seen since 96 is gonna stop the 2010 team. Now, personally, I think the 2010 team would beat them, but that's just me.
Yeah, no doubt that they'll go down as a team to be remembered. No doubt that they'll be the team that stopped the streak, and they'll be the team that also won a bowl game. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun game. I wish NCAA college football was still out there, Steve, so we can maybe make the 2010 Army team versus the 2016 Army team and see how it works.
Hey, man, I've still got my cleats, Sal. All right, I still got it.
Yeah, I'm sure you can round up a couple of your teammates too. So,
but it comes down to is they can't believe they've arrived, right, Sal? They've accomplished a lot, but they haven't accomplished everything yet. You can never feel like you've arrived. You can only sit back and review the battle once the battle is over. And we still have battles to win. We still have missions to complete. And the team understands that. I mean, I truly believe these guys understand. Like, that Navy win, although it means so much right now, it won't mean a damn thing if we don't finish the season strong, and then, not only win with such an impressive record, but end those seniors' careers on a high note. If I talk to any of those guys before the game, I'm going to tell them, hey man, you must end your career on a high note. I promise you, it'll make the rest of your life, your Army career, whatever, so much better. Just talking to older guys and then comparing it to myself is like, I know I can kind of lay my head down and just know that I gave it my all and we came out on top, and it's nice to know that, I ended my college career with a victory.
No doubt. Well said. Well said. We'll wrap up this podcast, and we'll wish everybody happy holidays around the not only the country but the world. If you're listening to this, if you're an Army fan listening to this overseas, Steve's been great with this podcast. Appreciate your time. We've had a lot of fun. We had shared a lot of stories, and hope to do it again soon, Steve.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If we want to do a roundup of Army season, I'm all for it. And as always, go Army, beat North Texas.